So on to the next topic. It's about the New York Knicks.
Oh, God.
Tom Thibodeau right now is getting a lot of backlash from Knicks fans, and I think this is a trendy topic amongst Knicks Twitter. And Thibodeau called out the social media critics and was like,
Oh, wow.
you guys are trying to nitpick this, nitpick that. You need everyone across the course of a season. And Thibodeau, sources have said that he's been offended by claims that he mistreated Kemba Walker this season. Tom Thibodeau has came out and he's, basically clapped back at Knicks Twitter. Knicks Twitter doesn't like him. I follow some people that are active in Knicks Twitter, and every other day I see spaces on Twitter about Thibodeau needs to be fired. People tweeting, I can't wait until Thibodeau gets fired. The notification is going to hit different. So what do you guys think about this? And Riv, Thibodeau coached your team, won Coach of the Year for the Chicago Bulls. So I want to know your thoughts first, then I'll go because I'm a Knicks fan and I feel like
he was actually important
give my
for
input
us. He was actually important when he played.
So do you think the Knicks should fire Tom Thibodeau?
That's like I'm gonna give my take. I ain't gonna play the defense thing. I'm gonna give my take, but I think that's a tough question because it's like you look at it on one side. He goes to the Knicks, right, and he brings you guys he brings the best out of Julius Randle. He gets you guys to the playoffs.
An excitement they haven't witnessed.
Yeah, it was a lot of excitement. Yeah, he got exposed in the playoffs, but it was a lot of excitement that year. The Knicks were on a ride high tail. Defensively, they were the best defensive team in the league. Like, they were great. But then you look at it on this end, they come back this year, they've added pieces, and they've got worse. So I think with Thibodeau, and in Chicago, Thibodeau, it was kind of like Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr. Thibodeau came in when the pieces were there already. He didn't start the trend with it. I think it was Vinny Del Negro, if I'm not mistaken. He the one who was there
Negro.
with. Thank you. Wow. Well, sorry.
You're good, man.
Yeah, no, because it's spelled.
I understand.
Yeah.
You're fine, man.
D Rose was D Rose's first coach. So it was like he was the first trend. They were bottom playoff team, and then boom, they Tom Thibodeau comes. They're the 1 seed. He changes it. He's kind of like, stop laughing.
He made an honest mistake. He made an honest mistake.
It's just funny.
It is.
Yeah, I thought it was Vinny Del. You know what I'm saying?
It's all right, bro.
But he propels their ceiling. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
So I think with the Knicks, he's messing me up.
It's all right, bro.
It's all right.
It's just funny, bro. I'm just
I think nobody's ever corrected me too. That's the craziest part.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, they just keep letting me say Negro.
Yeah,
it's kind of like insane. So
yeah.
now I've been calling this guy Vinny Del Negro for so long, and now it's it's Negro, bro.
Yeah, there you go.
So but I don't think he should get fired. I don't think so. I think, but it's tough. I think because there's no better coach in the market right now, and I think as of right now you got to give him another year based off what he did last year. I get and I know he's not great with young players. He's not. He hasn't been that. He's really not good. He's really a disciplined. We have a championship team here, Thibodeau. We need you to coach them. Okay, fine. They're veterans. Cool, I can do that. That's the type of coach Tibbs is. But at the same time, after what he did last year and bringing you guys back, you guys had your most excitement in damn near a decade. I think he deserves another year to kind of like fix it and rewrite the ship. So I don't think Thibodeau should get fired. I think he should get one more year to try it again because you guys did try. You just failed. So I think he should get another year.
So Tom Thibodeau hasn't been good this year. His rotations have been bad. The lack of not playing young players when they play well is stubborn, to say the least. Obi Toppin, I think, has been deserving more minutes. He hasn't been giving it to him. And now that Randle has been out, Obi's been playing pretty well. Last 2 games, 18, 11, and 6, then 15 and 8 against Miami. Tom Thibodeau has made some questionable decisions. But I think firing him after this season would be reactionary, and I think the fan base, which is a fan base that tends to overreact over everything, is overreacting to Tom Thibodeau right now. I think Tom Thibodeau shot himself in the foot last season by being the 4th seed and exceeding expectations. When you exceed expectations, you now set a standard. And when that standard is not met, fans get irate. And that's what happened. We were the 4th seed last year. Everybody on the Knicks fan base thought that Kemba and Fournier were these huge pickups. Fournier is not better than Bullock and doesn't fit the Knicks better than Bullock. Bullock is playing amazing in Dallas. Kemba Walker was a disappointment. I think Tom Thibodeau was late to bench Kemba. He let him be out there a little bit too long. And we have to remember, last year, before Derrick Rose got traded to the Knicks, we were a 17-20 team. we were a team that was going to get a lottery pick or be in the play-in at most.
Yeah.
And Derrick Rose has been out this entire year. Tom Thibodeau couldn't count on Julius Randle regressing to not even an all-star level player. He was all NBA last year. He's averaging 20 points this year, which is a 4-point drop-off from last season. RJ Barrett had such a rough start to the season. Derrick Rose has been hurt. Kemba Walker wasn't good. Fournier, defensive liability. There have been things that have been happening to the Knicks that are not Tom Thibodeau's fault, but he's being scapegoated for this season. With that being said, I think Tom Thibodeau deserves one more year. As long as he doesn't go out and trade all our young players, I really don't care. I don't want him to Minnesota us. I think he deserves one more year. And when looking at this situation, I was curious to find out how many coach of the years have been fired. And it's been 5. Avery Johnson.
Dwayne Casey was one.
Dwayne Casey's the one.
Avery Johnson won 67 games in 05-06 with the Mavericks. But they got eliminated in the first round.
That was Dirk's MVP season.
And that was the Warrior series, the We Believe Warriors. He got fired after that. George Karl, but he didn't. George Karl won 57 wins, 57 games in the 12-13 season when Denver traded Melo. They had a bunch of
they played the Warriors.
Good role players. Yeah, they beat them though.
No, they lost to the Warriors.
With Iguodala?
Yeah, it was a 3-6. That was Steph Curry's breakout. They beat them in 6 games.
Oh, but I found out that George Karl wasn't even fired by the Nuggets. He was fired by Sacramento later on. Byron Scott with the Hornets in 07-08 with Chris Paul won 56 games, then fired after the 09-010 season.
I like Byron.
Sam Mitchell also, Mike Brown with the Cavs, and Dwayne Casey recently with the Raptors. So there's only been 5 coaches that have been fired after winning Coach of the Year. And to me, it's like, I don't know if firing Tom Thibodeau is the solution. I really don't know if it is. We fired Tom Thibodeau. Now who takes his place? We might just have another mediocre coach. We might just go through another cycle like we did with Derek Fisher, Jeff Hornacek, and I'm forgetting some other names that were coaching us, like
Mike Woodson.
Kurt Rambis, Mike Woodson got fired
decent
before.
coach.
Mike Woodson was good.
He was.
And he got scapegoated as well and then got fired. So for me, I don't think firing Tom Thibodeau is the answer, at least after this season. He deserves one more season after what he did in his first year. Next year, if it's disappointing, if the stubbornness is still there, which it likely will be, I would be on board with him being fired. But he exceeded expectations last year, and that really hurt his job security in the long run.
So instead of just reiterating what you guys are going to say, I'm just going to ask a couple questions. Let's say you guys do move off of Tom Thibodeau, right? Would you want a coach in similar stature of being a guy that's more team-oriented and not... Let me rephrase this, actually. Do you want a player coach? Do you want someone that's going to just try and bring out the best in these players and be a little bit more lenient with these guys? Yeah. Or do you want someone similar to Tom Thibodeau that's going to be a hard ass, that wants to do things a specific way, but has, to a degree, a history of getting things done? What would you rather?
I think for me, like, player coaches are essential for young guys. You know, you look at Boston, you even go back and look at Brooklyn. I think with Kenny Atkinson, Ime Udoka, those are player coaches. Those are guys who, young guys tend to, you know, relate more to a player coach, a guy that they can relate to, they can talk to. So I think for the young pieces in New York, I think a guy like Thibodeau, who's stubborn, you know, he's very disciplined, he's one way or the other. I think that's more for like a Jimmy Butler, like a veteran type of D Rose. That's why D Rose is always
loves him.
Yeah, because he understands. So I think a player coach would fit more for the Knicks young guys.
And you also have to think, before I get your thoughts, also, you got to think it's New York. This is a different type of energy than everyone else. This is the media center of the world. This is like one of the more, I don't want to say hip. Essentially, do you want that player coach, or do you want a coach similar to a Thibodeau?
I feel like it doesn't. It matters. It depends on the direction. Like, if we're gonna go young and just rebuild and, you know, try to fight for the lottery and get higher picks, then I guess a guy like Kenny Atkinson would work. But I want to win, and I think Thibodeau can win with a roster that's more talented.
Do you think so?
I do think so. But back to the point about like Knicks fans being trolls, I think they are overreactionary. They're very stubborn. You look at every single star player that has come to New York, we have treated them like shit. Patrick Ewing, Carmelo Anthony, Julius Randle gave us a great season. Now everybody's turned their backs on him. So,
do you think that Knicks fans treated Melo badly?
Yes, 100%.
I feel a little differently, truthfully.
Now, Knicks fans are like, oh, Melo, man, I miss those days. But I remember back then, Melo was the scapegoat for everything going wrong in New York.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
He's not a winner. He doesn't pass. He's shooting too much fadeaway jump shots and mid-range shots. He's settling. I saw it firsthand and how the fan base treated him, how the national media as a whole treated Melo in those final years. Because of that, that's why I don't Thibodeau deserves another year.
Okay.
And firing him after this year sets a bad precedent. Even Steve Kerr was like, if I went to New York, I would have been fired and out of the league in a year or two. But he chose the right situation. Coaches have to feel like the Knicks are the right situation, and it's not reactionary because a coach has to take a lot into account. I'm going to New York. If I don't win, now I'm going to get so much backlash in New York to the point where you might not even be able to go outside and eat with your family at a nice restaurant because Knicks fans are going to be screaming absurdities at you. And then you also have to take into account the roster. Can I win with this? So there's a lot to take into account. And I think if a coach sees that a coach of the year just got fired a year after winning the award, it sets a bad precedent for good coaches around the league to join the Knicks.